And hello everyone once again. We are live.
Good evening.
Good evening everyone. Can everybody, I don't know if there's anybody in the chat yet. Actually, there should be a couple of people. Can everybody hear me and Gary okay? If you can just quickly put a yes or no or thumbs up in the chat, just so you know that we can hear us both loud and clear. Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. But even all, right. Um, Bit of a controversial one tonight, if we're honest. Um, there's been some recent updates and quite shocking updates for that matter. You're listening to Gary Clarke and Nathan Kirkton from CMW. Um, we would like to raise a point that we've come across that's got to the point now where it can't be ignored and action has to be taken against this, to be honest. At the end of the day, um, this is unlawful and they do not have the jurisdiction or the authority to do so. So we're going to start off. I want to show you something. So I'm just going to drop me and Gary out, and then what I'll do is I'll share the screen. Actually, I'll keep this on. I want to share the screen that is all on. Uh, Bear with me, people. I'm not professional at this. Right, I'm not sure if people can see that or not. That should be up on the screen now. Right, what you're looking at today, people, is this is a BBC News article, and it's about the new initiative from the police, and they're called Community Resolution Orders. Okay, now this is this is what I mean. Originally, as you'll see in a minute through the wording, I'll actually read it out for you. In June 2019, the BBC Shared Data Unit reported violent offenders were being handed informal punishments by the police, despite guidance restricting their use to low-level offences. So it's better for you. These community reform orders, um, they're meant to be done for things like shoplifting. I mean, low crimes are blocking up our courts that could be dealt with in a different manner without costing the taxpayer as much money as it has been, which I'm sure most of us at the beginning probably thought that that was a good idea. The offences actually include the offences including burglary, sexual assault, violence, and arson have led police to issue community resolutions which do not involve going to court. Critics say that the orders are being used contrary to their original purpose. As you've just seen, they're meant to be for low-level offences, but they are using these for some of the highest offences on our books. The National Police Chief Council said community resolution should not be used in the most serious cases. I would say that burglary, sexual assault, violence, arson, they are classed as serious cases. The BBC's Shared Data Unit analysed crime outcomes data published by the Home Office from 2014 to 2018. It found about 112,000 offenders had been dealt with through community resolution orders each year since 2014. The orders represented about 3% of all crime outcomes, but there had been a slight decline in their use over that period. From 2014 to 2018, they were used for some 2,500 sex offences, including 27 rapes. Police forces said these disposals could relate to sexual activity between children, including sexting. No excuse, it's still a serious crime. Some 5,000 for possession of weapons, including knives and guns. Again, this is a very serious crime. Remember, these are only meant to be used for low crimes. Some 156,000 for violent offences against the person, including 1,720 for cruelty to children. So that's the abuse of children. So children are getting abused and they get one of these community resolution orders. Um, the piece of content was produced by a regional newspaper reporter working alongside BBC staff. The Shared Data Unit makes data journalism available to news organisations across the media industry as part of a partnership between the BBC and the News Media Association. Stories generated by the partnership include the Northern Echo, rape and child abuse among crimes that never reached court, 17th of June 2009. The Northern Echo, the pros and cons of policing using out-of-court disposals, 17th of June 2009. The Telegraph, violent offences offenders avoiding criminal records through controversial community resolutions, 17th of June 2009. The Daily I'm not going to go through all of them, but the Daily Star, please use community records to deal with sex assaults. Police chief backs community orders. Even after all that, Swindon advertiser. Experts argue the case for and against community resolution. The news, drug traffickers among thousands of court resolution instead. Also, top large with rate are being allowed to court using one of these community resolution orders. Shock politicians demand change in legal system after rapists and serious offenders avoid court. See, even there you see politicians starting to get on this. I'm not going to go through the rest of it. I mean, we've got here Suffolk Police, second highest in country for community resolution. Again, Suffolk Police, second highest in country for community resolution. Suffolk Police again. Northumbria Police hand out community resolutions to offenders. Stansted passengers to blame for rise in weapon offences settled out of court. Getting away with it. Wigan criminals escape prosecution for serious offences. Nottinghamshire Police. Violence, weapons and drugs. The 1,600 offences a year which don't appear on criminal records. I think we get a general gist, okay, and then we're going to discuss what these are. So, in a nutshell, these community resolution orders basically it's a police initiative, an initiative to be so we're not clogged up with like what they class as low-level crimes. So we're talking shoplifting, stuff like that. Low base crimes can be dealt with outside of court, really, if it doesn't go beyond a certain point. This is what they was issued for. This is the original reason they was issued for this, not for serious crimes. But as you've just seen, over the years, the majority of the police, and the majority of the orders have actually been used for some of the most serious crimes we actually have on our books, i.e. rape, sexual assault, burglary, arson. These orders were never made to use in these situations. Okay, never made to be used in these situations, but they have. I mean, we have currently some of the research I've been doing, nearly 900, so about 878 roundabout community resolution orders have actually been issued. These have mainly been issued to people who commit rape, sexual assault, burglary, arson, violent crimes, serious crimes. And what happens with these community orders is basically the Labour Party have agreed with it, everyone else agreed it. We've got a number of police forces now coming out and sort of almost backing them using this for this. But the main use for these community resolution orders is that it's been used for, like I say, rape, sexual assault, and grooming gangs. In a nutshell, what this entails is the police issue a community resolution order, and then all the perpetrator has to do, so say somebody commits rape to a child under the age of 13, or sexual assault, should I say, to be correct, to under the age of 13, because that's how they label it. Instead of, and the police say it themselves, this is a way that we can keep these people out of the criminal justice system because it's cost effective. So money, when it comes down to the justice that our children, our women, our people deserve for the horrid and heinous crimes that they've had against them, we're now seeing basically the police are using it in a nefarious way, or in an unlawful way actually, because it's classed as aiding and abetting a crime. These community resolution orders basically mean that if a member of a grooming gang, if a member of, say, someone who committed rape, or if someone committed sexual assault, they get placed under this community resolution order. And what it means is, if the perpetrator of the rape, sexual assault, burglary, arson, literally the ones I've just read out, if they say sorry to the victim, this means the perpetrator doesn't get a criminal record, doesn't face criminal prosecution in court, does not face jail time. In fact, it doesn't actually, it stops them from even being put on a child sex register. So these community resolution orders, I think they're being used in a kind of way to clean up the thousands upon thousands of historic cases that they failed, and they did. They willfully failed to uphold these cases and prosecute these cases. There's been a lot of public backing for it and a lot of pushing, so I think this is their attempt to try and look like they're dealing with it. But the fact of the matter is, there is no limit to how many of these orders you get until you do actually face prison. So if you rape a child, rape a woman, as long as you say, and by the way, the apology doesn't have to be accepted. The perpetrators just have to say sorry. If they have to say sorry, then everything is quashed. Everything is taken. I mean, there's no criminal record. There's technically not even a record of the offence that's been committed. And this is the problem. So basically, if you've got no limitations, how many people? I mean, we see a lot of like grooming gangs. We see a lot of rapes by different demographics across the board. But it now means that the police and Parliament hasn't created legislation for this. The police have actually done this initiative off their own back. So, contrary to Her Majesty's Constabulary and Her Majesty's Constable's oath, they have now decided to be judge, jury, and executioner, and they are now deciding that these people who commit some of the most heinous crimes you can to a man or a woman or a child, they deem it as long as they say sorry and they promise that they won't do it again, they've learnt their lesson, then they will not get a criminal record, they will not be prosecuted. And they can do it again and again because there is no limitations. It's not like 3 strikes and then you're in prison automatically. They just have to keep saying sorry. And they've been admitting this. Rotherham, and this will get you people, Rotherham is one of the highest that has put it out. Literally, they've used 78 for, I think it's rape alone. Not sexual assault, rape. And this does involve grooming gangs. It involves other bits as well. I mean, to the point where we've actually had a Labour MP come out and she's apparently disgusted that these sort of things go on under this government, forgetting that all these rapes were committed under the Labour government. So again, it's just passing the buck and pointing the finger. But this is where we're at, people. If you are raped, if you are sexually assaulted, if you have a violent offence committed towards you, if you're burgled, if somebody throws a petrol bomb through your window, all they have to do is say sorry. Here's the kicker. If you go onto the internet, if you dare voice your opinion in public, and if they class it as hate speech, the police have said, even though they're doing these community support orders, they're doing it because it's cost effective. Basically what they're saying is they don't want to spend the money to get justice for these victims. But what they have said is they are going to put more resources and more effort into stopping the hate crime because they know that once we get hold of this, we're not going to be happy, so we're going to speak our minds. So the rapist won't face charges, the rapist won't have a criminal record, the rapist won't see court, but if you dare say something that they deem as hate speech against a person for committing such a heinous crime, you will face prosecution, you will possibly face a court, and you can potentially face a custodial. So stating your mind and saying something that you might say out of anger or frustration or just sheer disgust, you may even point out a valid truth. If they class it as hate speech, you're the one going to get prosecuted, not them.
I think that's shocking.
I've been quite angry about it because I thought when I was reading it, and this is why I really didn't pick up on it too much in the first and say anything about it, because I did think it, because it states quite clearly for low level crimes. We're talking misdemeanors. We're talking things that most time that the police give you a fine on the spot or something like that, or something that go to court. It's literally just a waste of time. I mean, I'm not saying crime's not a waste of time, but when you're going to investigate somebody saying some hurty words over somebody that's going to commit rape, arson, burglary, possibly murder, we haven't seen that yet, but we'll wait and see.
So basically, then, what they're saying is, if you now, they've just given the green card really and the green light for these crimes to go ahead, because I'm sorry, but I don't care what race, religion, or creed, what colour you are. That's not acceptable.
No, I don't care who you are. If you commit that heinous crime on another person, and understand, all they have to do is say sorry, and then that person has to live with the rest of their life with the damage being done. And by the way, they won't be removed from the community either. They say sorry, and you can see them in the shops the next day. Nothing's done to them. So these victims now have got to live a lifelong struggle with PTSD, mental health, trust issues, the lot. The list goes on. It's a complete knock-on effect. But these victims now have to live a lifelong, basically, anguish because their perpetrator said sorry.
Yeah, and not just that, Nathan. They've got to live with the fact that if that's all that's going to happen, he could attack them again.
This is exactly it, because if all they're going to do is say, right, do you say sorry? Do you mean it? Well, as long as you mean it, off you go. That's basically what they're doing. Now, tell me if that's a deterrent.
I've never heard anything so ludicrous in all my life. And like I said, this isn't against anybody in particular. It's against any religion, any colour, any creed, any country where you come from. It doesn't make any difference. It's wrong on all levels, and it should not be allowed. And the police want burning for actually agreeing to it. Because what if it's one of their daughters? It's all right saying, well, it don't affect me. Then one day they're out on the beat and they get a phone call. Their 14-year-old daughter's been raped. They ain't going to feel like wanting to say, come here, mate, can you just say sorry to my daughter? When it's their family.
Yeah, oh, they'll be saying done then. Like I said, and I'm not sure if this encompasses all demographics and all things. I'm not too sure yet. I'm still researching the statistics because they're a little bit late with bringing a lot of statistics out. Like I said, Rotherham alone has used at least 78 to discharge historic crimes. So they've just said sorry now, and that's it. So the victims now either have got a choice, move out the area so they don't have to be constantly reminded, constantly see this person, constantly being worried that this person got away with it and he may think he can do it again. It puts women and children at risk, and it's not just females. There's cases of young boys being raped, young girls and women. So you're putting the majority of the demographic of our society at risk because these people have no deterrent. But yet we do. We're not. If we speak out about it, there's a massive deterrent. Hope Not Hate have got behind it the whole lot. So you can see where this is going. But we're not allowed to say anything about it, apparently. I mean, you know as well as I do, Gary, our government signed the Barcelona Declaration in 1995. In this declaration, they actually, I mean, they're trying to change wording because we've been catching up with them. But in this declaration, they actually stated that they will use laws, media, pretty much anything they have at their disposal to, and I quote, guarantee the acceptance of Islam. So if the government basically said we're going to accept Islam no matter what, and we'll change our laws to make people accept it, and this is what you're seeing now. So basically, they have carte blanche. They have carte blanche.
Yeah. But like I said, Nath, I ain't looking at it from the Islam perspective. I'm looking at it from you've got a bad enough paedophile problem as it is. So I don't care where these people come from. It's wrong on all levels, no matter who it is, whether they're Muslim, white, black, whether they're English, German, Spanish, it doesn't make any difference. It's wrong on all levels, and it should not be allowed to be implemented. And don't forget, like you said, it's not gone through any parliament legislation or any acts. The police have just done it off their own bat.
Yeah, it's not law, it's not an act, it's not a statute, there's no legislation involved in this. The police have undertook it themselves, which technically speaking is dereliction of duty, malfeasance in public office, aid and abetting serious crimes. This is where we need to start acting, people. I mean, I know people getting going on about the food shortage things out, but they are literally, the police are now said that they will pick and choose what crimes they see fit. Literally pick and choose. I mean, I'm not being funny. We've seen evidences before, not to talk about this, but it's like a church can be burnt down. It's well, £50 fine. Poppies can be absolutely desecrated. A war memorial will be desecrated. £50 fine. Yeah, it doesn't matter. Not at all. But yet,
It just
if
it just annoys me that people can, you know, well, you've just hit the nail on the head earlier, and that's disgusting in my opinion. Where oh, you can't say that you're going to prison because you've just called out somebody who's committed a crime. Yeah, but it's true.
yeah.
Did he or did he not rape the person? Yes, he did. But that's not your business. You shouldn't be going around spreading it. You're going to now go to prison for 3 months. And this man is going to have said sorry, and that's going to be the end of it. I've
Oh
never
yeah,
heard anything so ridiculous in all my life.
I think there was an inclusions officer who had a meeting, who wrote something out at a meeting not long ago. And she actually quotes hope, not hate, and she actually refers to people like Stephen Yaxley, Lennon, a few other news like shows, things that who are actually telling you the truth and giving you factual statistics and being honest about the situation. This is what they want to clamp down on. They don't want advertisement of these crimes. They don't want advertisement of how they're dealing with them. Basically, as who was it who said it again? That Labour MP. For the good of diversity, everybody just needs to shut up. So basically, you just need to shut up and accept that they'll rape people. I mean, rapists will just rape whatever they want with impunity now. And the police have done this. They don't actually
Well,
have the authority to do this. In fact,
no.
actually, it goes against every single one of those. So, me and Gary are going to try and drum up some support because we intend to actually sort of do something about this, and we intend to go somewhere and sort of make ourselves known. So, start saving a bit of money now, people. Start getting behind, start getting ready because we're going to want to act on this. Because this shows, and it's not just one police force, they're across the country. So if this does not prove that the police are not fit for purpose, there is no equality, and they're not doing their job, and if they're not fit for purpose, if they are not constitutionally able and uphold the common law, which they're not, because they're upholding legislation, then they're not fit for purpose. They have no authority. So what we need to do is we need to actually start addressing this, and this is Article 61 of the Magna Carta. As much as people scoff at it, this is what actually removes power from Parliament, the police. Any Crown authority has no authority once we all enter into Article 61. So they can't carry on doing this once we all do it. Once we all in Article 61, all their authority is void until we give the country back to the Queen and she re-establishes her royal authorities. They have no authority. In fact, they actually haven't had any authority since 2001 when Article 61 was invoked. But unfortunately, it doesn't just take the barons, it takes us because we have to stand up en masse and we have to actually make ourselves known. And I don't mean just protest. You need to do the declaration process. So it's declaration, affidavit of truth, claim of right. There is a pack on my channel. There's a video to help you fill out as well. And this is what we need to do. But this is the only way because if we keep voting for them, we're agreeing to what they're doing, so they're going to keep doing it. If we do it in any other way, try like people trying to say, like get political candidates in there. You're talking 50 years. How much damage is going to be done in 50 years? And that brings us well past 2050 when they expect to have complete control of everybody. So what you're going to do? You're going to act now, or we're going to just let this carry on.
Well, if people don't act now, then I ain't being nasty here, ladies and gentlemen, but if you don't act now, you're going to deserve everything that you get. If your child does get raped by these people and nothing gets done, well, you've heard it here from the horse's mouth. You should stand up and get this squashed because it's too late once it's happened to your daughter or your little son. And then they say, oh, I'm sorry. Well, off you go now. Sorry about that, but he's apologised. That's all we can do. Is that what you really want if any of this happens to your children?
And
It's
here's the kick.
absolutely abhorrent.
And here's the kicker. with these community resolution orders and that lot, and what they're doing, they asked the perpetrator for their opinion and went with the perpetrator's opinion. Yeah, they did ask the victims, but the victims, technically speaking, they just need to take their opinion into consideration. So again, the perpetrator is being picked over the victim, and this is the whole point. We need to actually start doing something. I mean, and
If
the
you
only way
can't
we can
see
do
right
this,
now, sorry, Dave. Go on, carry on.
if we don't, the only lawful solution we have to this, and trust me, me and Gary and many others have tried over many years. Um, the movement, what people think it is, it's been around a few years, but it's been around a lot longer, and we've been here a lot longer, and we've tried most of the things. We've tried protests, we've tried blocking roads, we've tried everything. The difference is, the reason why they don't work is because everybody that does these protests and these standing days, that lot, they don't follow up their dissent with an actual bit of paperwork that states, right, officially, I'm letting you know, I do not agree with this. You're not allowed to do this. That's it. And this is how we do with 61 and stuff like that. But we need to actually, I mean, if put it this way, it's like Gary says, whether you have children or not, you may have nieces, nephews, and stuff like that. They basically give carte blanche. They've actually legalised rape and sexual abuse. So these paedophiles now can go around the whole of the country, and they know now they're not going to get prosecuted. But how dare you? Don't try and protect your daughter or your son. Don't try and attack or say anything out of hand, because you'll go to prison and they'll still be walking the streets with your daughter. There's only one way we can do this, and we can actually, what we need to do is challenge it lawfully, and that's how we've got most of our stuff done. The police have done this off their own back. We can challenge this lawfully. We can get it quashed quite quick, because they're actually breaching the parameters, as you've just seen. They're breaching the parameters of the order. It states quite clearly, and I hope you see, only to be used for lower offences. Now, I ask you this: if they're using it for rape, arson, murder, stuff like that, how's that lesser crimes? I mean, don't get me wrong, I do know certain demographics of our society believe that they're misdemeanors, they're nothing. I mean, it's just a duty, it's a job. But for most of us, this is not. This is a fundamental destruction of the golden rule that we have lived by for thousands of years. It's the destruction of our laws and our protection. And unfortunately, they've linked, and a lot of these will be helped up with the Human Rights Declaration, because that's what it's there for. I mean, I'll show you in a minute. The Human Rights Declaration is actually was created by the United Nations. See, under English constitutional law, we cannot be governed by a foreign prince, prelate, etc. So the UN, the EU, the WHO, the WF, our constitution is one of the only ones that state quite clearly they cannot tell us what to do at all. Yep, Barking Dirge, you're right, that was ignored. And this is the thing, it's got to a point now where everybody's so aware of what's gone on with the grooming gangs, with the rapes arising. And I'm not blaming one demographic, because it's pretty much across all the demographics, like the rape situation's rising. But we have to do something.
Yeah, I mean, it's the end of the day, you know, these people, like again now, they're telling you what they're going to do to your face. If your daughter gets raped or your son gets raped now, all the perpetrator's got to do is say sorry, and that's the end of it. How much more blatant do you want these people to be in their agenda, ladies and gentlemen? If you can't see you're a second-class citizen in your own country by now, you never will do.
There's a two-tier law system.
You will reap what you sow.
Well, this is the thing. I mean, if we do something, we are going to plan on doing something. We're going to make sure that it's done lawfully. But this is the problem that we're seeing a lot of it. Is like, if I can do so, it's like these victims are getting ignored, and they are. This is just a way of ignoring all the laws and all the past. Basically, they don't want to be called racist, and most of the police forces in the country are going to have to come out and admit, yes, we looked the other way why millions of children were being raped. We looked the other way when millions of women were being raped, because we are inclusive, and we do not want to be done for being racist, because we include this. Paedophiles, it doesn't matter what you are. it's all inclusive, so we include everyone. This is what people
Except
got
if
to
you
realise.
speak out about it.
Yeah, exactly. If you
Kind of
speak out
upset.
about it, if you speak out about it and you say something that they don't like, then chances are you'll go to prison, or you'll face a massive fine, and you will get a criminal record.
Honestly, God, it's just angered me so much that has. I mean, I don't know till we just come on here, but that's angered me to you wouldn't believe because, ladies and gentlemen, listen, please. It's all right saying it don't affect me though. It could affect you like that one day. And what you're going to do then is too late once it's happened to you. You've got to speak up now because this is what they do. What they're doing again now is putting the feelers out to see whether you'll stand for it or not. And
Yep,
your silence and your complicitness in it all, it's giving them the green light. It's okay to do it because you're staying silent and you're being complicit.
exactly. At the moment, the only paperwork on record is that from the people that want this to happen and actually invoked and had this like put into place. That's the only voice that's actually been submitted to paper. So on official record, because they don't class Facebook rants or Facebook lives and that lot of things, they don't class it as an official notification. So because we ain't notifying them officially of our disdain, they are taking it as that we basically agree with it, we're okay with it, it's a good thing.
No, you should all be bombarding the police stations where you live with emails, letting
Yep.
them know we've just heard this and it's shocking and we're not going to stand for it. It's not your children, it's our children that are in danger, not the government's because they're all well protected.
I mean, the police have kind of shot themselves in the foot because what they've done here is, from what I believe, is actually breach Section 26 of the Criminal Court Justice and Courts Act of 2015. Now, the reason why I
Yeah.
state that is because it's a common law based statute. And we do have statutes in common law, but they can't be contrary to common law. But that's one that
No.
is not contrary to common law because that's the very statute that allows us to prosecute constables easier. Before, it would be a nigh on impossible task. But now we can't actually prosecute constables because, as they say, nobody is above the law. And where do we find that, Gary?
Sorry?
Where do we find the ethos that nobody's above the law?
It's all in the Constitution. It's like,
Article 61.
yes, 2 seconds, Nathan. It's all in the Constitution, the same as if it doesn't fall within the constraints of the Constitution, as we both know and anybody who studies the Constitution should know, it should not be implemented or passed. Now,
Yep.
this is quite openly saying you can commit loss and harm and you can cause injury to people and get away with it. That's not in the constraints of common law. It's unlawful. It's against it. So
Well,
it's unconstitutional. So it should not be
exactly.
allowed. And the police should know all this, though. That's what annoys me. They're supposed to have gone through the training, be, like you said, they should be constitutionally able. That's what constable means. And they
Yep.
don't know fucking jack shit.
Yep. Well, this is the thing. They do know what they're doing because the police are very. Because we've been to London loads of times, Gary. I've spoke to like constables, like sergeants and state superintendents. They're fully aware of Barcelona Declaration. They don't really want to admit it outright, but they're fully aware of it because it binds them. This is the whole point. People think, oh, they don't want to be racist, but that's the thing. They will be labelled as racist, but they will also because like it's like the Human Rights Declaration. It used to say that it's only to be taken in consideration, but they've reworded it now, and it basically just sort of states, well, if the member state or if the states want to take this up, they can. We would urge them to, but it can't override our constitution. The Barcelona Declaration 1995 is unconstitutional. It's constitutional republic. We can actually tack it onto Article 61, but there's no need because we're all going to sort all that after. They have literally said that we are going to have to accept Islam and its culture. And along comes Islam, and along comes that culture, and a lot of people got away with their religious beliefs, stuff like that. We've now
But
probably
this,
got a lot. We've now probably got a lot of, I would say, other sexual deviants. I think I'll use the word. We've got them in the white white demographic. We've got them in the Pakistani Muslim demographic. We've got quite a few. These are it's not the. This is what makes me laugh, is because there has been record numbers of police, at least in the last few years, that have actually been prosecuted for sexual assault or sex crimes themselves. So we're talking about a police force that have to deal with these serious crimes, and it involves their constables. So what they've decided to do is, well, as long as we say so, it doesn't matter. There's no criminal record. There's nothing like that. So most of these constables won't even lose their job. They'll be back on the street.
But this is where it makes you wonder if the police have done this because there's a massive awakening happening, ladies and gentlemen. And these people, when it all comes out, all these who have been on Epstein Island, etc., is it being done so that when the truth does come out, these people won't face any prosecutions?
Exactly. It's like Viking dude said, isn't it the CBS problem? Unfortunately, they've taken this on for themselves. They've basically taken the CBS, Parliament, the legislators, none of them are actually involved. The police have just decided to do this themselves. I mean, I would have thought anybody with especially a GCSE C, D and above should have got the understanding that these are only meant to be for low-level crimes, not some of the highest crimes we have on our books, and not just at PU so you can clean up the book so we haven't got millions of like outstanding cases because we didn't do our job. It's a case of, well, we did our job. That man or woman, they apologised. Do you accept the apology? No, I don't. Oh, well, he's apologised anyway.
No, it don't matter whether you want to accept it or not. He's done it. He's done his part. Honest to God, ladies and gentlemen, it's fried my brain. That's why I couldn't remember just there. It's fried my brain, Nate. I'm just so angry at this moment in time that I just can't believe that the police have sold every child in this country down the river today.
But this is this is what we keep saying about the UN construct, which is the Human Rights Declaration. I mean, that goes back as far as Nancy Reagan, stuff like that. I mean, I'm not being funny. Look into it. From the very start, it was never meant to do anything good. But these aren't your rights. You have unalienable rights or inalienable rights if you're in America or some other places. They can't be sold, transferred, and they can't act against them. They are inalienable. So we have them, and there's nothing they can do about it. But unfortunately, we've still got a hell of a lot of people voting. We've still got a hell of a lot of people going human rights, human rights, human rights. So what you're doing is you're giving away the very rights that do actually stop this in law, and you're picking a legal document that, technically speaking, all the governments really have to do is they just have to try to live up to it. So as much as these like criminals have to really be sorry about what when they say it, so you really sorry, because you're going to have to be really sorry if you mean it, we'll let you go. Same with these MPs, they're doing it the exact same.
I mean, you've got to grow. If people don't grow a backbone now, Nathan, well, like I said, they will reap what they sow, because this is getting worse by the day.
Yep.
You know.
And this is the thing. We can now say, I think personally, we can now say that the police have well and truly stuck themselves in a lot of the corruption. I mean, don't get me wrong, there's still a hell of a lot of decent constables out there, but it's the main ones. I mean, look at this. The way the police saying that they're doing the community resolution orders because it's cost effective. It costs less than taking all these people to court, having them prosecuted, and actually putting them in prison. So it's cost effective, so they don't have to spend a lot of money. But yeah, you've seen it. I've seen it on Facebook. They're advertising for inclusion officers and that lot. So they've got officers that basically just sit at a desk, and their whole job is just to come up with ideas how we can keep changing our society, changing what we do to appease and to make sure that these people don't get any hurty words thrown at them. They don't feel any way that they may be doing something wrong or they've upset anybody, because if you upset them, it's a hate crime. If they upset you, well, you're just a bigot. And this is what we've got to start to use. We've got to start using our constitution.
I wonder what will happen when one of these people, like I said, to me, it doesn't matter what colour, religion or creed you are. But when one of these paedophiles rapes a young girl or a young boy, and they've got to live in the same town with them, and they can't take it anymore, and they end up killing themselves because of it. What's going to happen then? Are then these people going to be dragged forward to the family again and just say sorry?
Well, see, we've already
And
had
that's it.
situations.
Or are they going to then be done for the initial crime and pushing this child to commit suicide? Honest to God, I'm absolutely fucking fuming.
Well, but this is the thing. This takes away as well. So if there ever gets a point where they are put in court, they're not classed as a repeat offender because they've got none of it on their record. So it would be their first offence. This is what people got to realise. It'd be their first offence. It'd probably more likely be a slap on the wrist or a fine or something like that. It's getting dangerous. It is getting extremely dangerous. I mean, look how. I mean, we had loads of them think they could just shut down a cinema in a free country where you're meant to be able to watch and have an opinion and do what you need to do. Yeah, they've decided that if they don't like something, we're not doing it. They're getting braver and braver and braver. I mean, let's face it. I will mention his name because he's a little skid, but that is it, Mark Freely. Yeah, I think it's Mark Freely. The one that keeps getting caught by the pedo hunters because he's talking to young girls and trying to meet up with young girls. Well, this is probably the reason why he's not in jail because they keep giving him a community response order. So all he has to keep doing is saying, oh, yeah, no, I'm actually really sorry now. I see the error in my ways. I'm really sorry. I won't do it to you again.
You forget to pay your income tax and see what happens.
Yeah, this is exactly it. Like the contrast of what they're saying, because they pretty much say it in the same like speech. It's like, yeah, if you dare say anything horrible about these rapists or these grooming gangs, if you dare try and do anything or post anything that may hurt their feelings, you're going to be prosecuted. So you need to, like someone said in there, you need to just shut up and just accept diversity. Well, if this is diversity, I'm starting to understand why we was never asked. Seriously, it's actually boiling my blood.
It's really pissed me right off. I've got to be honest. I wish I was still in Belarus, to be honest, because at least I wouldn't be so angry as I am now. I feel like going to my local police station. Well, they've shut them all down. There's another one for you. You go try and find a local police station. They're all shutting down because they're trying to take the police off the beat. People ain't listening and waking up to what's going on. They're getting ready for it to kick off, and you're going to get no protection when it does kick off. And like I said, the longer every day that goes by, and every more and more come, like Nathan says, it's just going to get more and more cocky.
Well, look at what they done outside Cineworld. Look at what they've done to some of the people. I mean, anybody's keeping an eye on Speaker's Corner at the moment. There was a time when, I mean, Gary, I was doing it, CMW was doing it. We did attack the Parks Association because of the law and order being blatantly disregarded. And they did. They put they basically stopped them praying down there so that they wasn't being antisocial. They stopped a lot of the arguments, a lot of the violence, and they did. But for some reason, it's back again. It's back again. And they're acting like they own the place and like everybody else.
You're going to get a lot of this now, Nathan. You're going to get a lot of, ladies and gentlemen, when you're walking down the street with your daughter or whatever, especially if you're a man and you're walking down the street with your daughter, these people are going to start antagonizing you. Oh, your daughter looks nice, blah, blah, blah. Your daughter's ours. We're going to do your daughter one of these nights. We ain't going to tell you when, but it's going to happen. And you're going to blood's going to be boiling. You're going to want to commit murder.
That's actually happened in other countries where they've actually put people under so much fright that they're going to come back and rape everybody in the household. They've actually done it.
It's going to get worse and worse, and it's all through keeping this shut.
Yeah,
that's what it's all through. You've got to learn to open your mouth and stand up for yourself and stand up for your children, for fuck's sake.
I mean, let's face it, you may not be able to get some of the marches, but there's no reason why you can't sort of set up a kind of a get-together or a march in your own towns the back certain other things. I mean, Gary will be looking actually into going and doing something again. We're not going to say it right now, but we are looking to do something because we have to. We have got no choice. I mean, me personally, I'd like everyone to go into 61. I'd like the power movement away from the Crown and their authorities. I'd like to be put back in our hands, and then once all the corruption's gone, and it's like, right, you're going to behave now. Otherwise, you will hang from a tree or something, and that should be the way. But unfortunately, not. I mean, there's a lot of people out there. They may have the forms, but they never fill them out. A lot of people are worried about it, understandably, because they think it may affect their benefits. They think because you're told that you're to distress and distrain Parliament, that you're going to be acted against. Well, just quote the word. Just quote the word in 1215. It gives you everything you need. That's a legal document, but it's enshrined in law. It's actually the basis of many like what they call human rights declarations. Rankar. That's how powerful it is. This is the thing. It's like we lived this for a very long time.
But seriously, guys, you need to spread this message out far and wide, and you've got to tell your people. Tell the people. If you stand for this, it's just going to get worse. They'll be coming into your own next and just telling you, "You're sorry, we're having this house now. Get out."
Yeah.
And is that going to be all right as long as I say sorry? Sorry, but you ain't got nowhere to live, but we need the house. Is that going to be all right, is it? Because that's looked like the way it's going to me.
Well, this is the thing. We was discussing this the other day because it's like it's actually happened. We're not going to name no names, but it has actually happened in other countries where people have walked into the house who they class themselves as the higher force, and they basically evict people. Now we've got a situation where there's more immigrants in a village than there are people who live in the village. It's like Gary says. What happens if they just get fed up one day and they decide just to go into the village and just start taking houses for themselves? Now, I'm not being funny. It's roughly about the amount I would say you see outside the Birmingham Cineview Cinema when I was trying to broadcast the film. So imagine these people going to a very small village, mostly full of old people. There is some younger people, some kids. There's older people, young people, kids. These are not a fighting force. Imagine them walking into that town, knocking on a door, mob handed with 10 people there, saying, "Right, you've got 5 minutes to get out. This is my house now." I'm not saying that's going to happen. I'm just saying this is how brazen they're getting. If they can all turn up in thousands at a cinema and demand you're not going to show that film because it upsets us, and then they get it. I mean, we had a situation where somebody was meant to be a judge said yes, the flights can go ahead. It's not unlawful. In fact, it's unlawful sort of in the other way by the words he used. Um, one of them was meant to be deported in the last few days, but somehow miraculously, a couple of hundred people turned up at his flat. Whether they notified him or not, I'm not sure. A couple of hundred people turned up at the flat and demanded they let him go, and the police let him go. So, are we really deporting these to Rwanda, or is it a case of we'll only report the ones where, like, the left don't get there to protest? That's what I'm wondering.
Well, like I said, we can't do no more than we're doing. And if people don't want to listen and they just want to let these things carry on and happen by staying silent, just remember and let it sink in that your silence is your consent.
Yes, well, like I said, a lot of people, like you said, you actually, I think you hit the nail on the head earlier when I was talking, Gary. It's like everybody's looking for that leader to step forward, do it, and then when they're successful, you can just do it as well. It doesn't work like that with Civil War. It doesn't work like that with Diffidasha. We all stand up together and we all do it together. I mean, we'll probably make some mistakes, but probably not. But we still have to do it together. It's every man and woman's duty. Every man and woman's duty. Not a single one can say they don't have that duty because you do. You're just not taught you have a duty, so you've got to fix this. The police won't. The police are aiding and abetting it, as you see. The Crown won't. They've pretty ignored it. The border forces openly aiding and abetting criminal foreign nationals and escorting them to our shores and releasing them. It's a joke. It is a joke, and something needs to be done. I'm sorry, something needs to be done. I think Gary's been kicked there. But this is the thing, he's invading shores. They're probably going to end up back here anyway, Viking. I mean, they'll probably bring out a helicopter or anything like that, and then they'll probably just sort of bring it that way. We will do a bit more on this because I'm going to be gathering some statistics and stuff like that, and then we'll go through the proper stuff and that lot, and we'll have a look. But what I'll do is, now Gary's been kicked out, what I'll do is I'll leave it there. Please, if you didn't get it all, watch the video back, understand what we're trying to say, understand how this will affect not just you, your children, your grandchildren. It's no good waiting for it to come to your door, because I'm telling you now, by the time it gets to your door, they're basically killed or done away or imprisoned or shut outside of society, all the other demographics that would have come to your help. So the way I see it is, if we all start helping each other, we all start bolstering each other, we can do this. And I'm telling you now, the Constitution is definitely the solution. It is the only powerful thing that can override what they're doing, and they know it. That's why they want us to give up our sovereignty. Right. What I'll do is, because we give you a general rundown, we're going to be sort of doing a bit more on this as it pans out and information comes out. There's a bit more information that's been out, but I need to sort it out and get it on here so I can show you. But thank you for tuning in, everybody. Thank you for joining the chat. Lovely to see some of you again. We shall see you next time. Hopefully we'll be live in the next couple of days. So until next time, everybody, take care, be safe, and know your rights, uphold your laws, and know your constitution. And please, please, please go and read the Barcelona Declaration 1995. It may sound like it's a good thing, but when you look at the wording, using a law dictionary or something like that, the whole document completely changes. So what I'll do is I'll leave you with that, and then once you lot have done, we'll give you a couple of days to do a bit of research looking into it, and then we'll probably do another one with a bit more in-depth statistics and stuff like that. It's just something that needs to be highlighted now because we intend to move on it and do something about it, because something has to be done. Now, the police are not going to stop it, because the police are actually the ones that aided and abetted this. They're the ones, it's their idea. They're the ones that decided to do it. Parliament doesn't seem to be intervening. What's new there? So it's going to be down to us, and we have one lawful solution that they can't override after we finish, and that's Article 61. It means they have no power officially over any of us. Right, I'm going to leave that there. Look out for the next live, and thank you for all turning up, and thank you for listening, and good night, everybody. Take care. Be safe, please.